Okay, so we're going to get started. If everybody would like to take a seat. Okay, so I'd like to welcome everybody to this year's Adelaide ACS seminars. So we're about halfway through now. We've been in Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne and Canberra. So they've so far been really great. So I hope today will be just the same, I have no doubt. My name is Michaela. I'm the head of the marketing department for Good Education Group, and I've got my colleagues Fikri and Alicia here today. I'd also like to thank Riles and the Australian Science Channel for hosting us today and inviting us to this wonderful space. We've been very fortunate to be able to host it here today. Just a little bit of a background on Good Education Group and where we are at the moment. For those that have come to past events or are familiar with some of our resources, we used to be a company known as Hobson's and sat under the Hobson's name. In 2015, Hobson's sold the publishing assets of their business, so a single department. And myself and a few of my colleagues moved over with the publishing assets and became a known entity, which is called Good Education Group. So it's been really nice to now solely focus 100% on information resources in career and education. And during that sort of very short period of time, we've been able to sort of hit a lot of milestones, which has been quite nice. We've updated all our websites, so everything is now much more relevant and modern, and a lot more new functionality, so hopefully that supports you and your career programs. We've launched some new resources. We've got the Good MBA website now, and we've also created the Good Careers Guide, which was designed as a substitute resource for the job guide, which sadly is no longer. When we were at Hobson's, and myself in particular was on the team, we produced job guide on behalf of the federal government. So when there were sort of whispers that the government was potentially going to get rid of this resource, it became very clear that this was a gap in the market that we were going to have to fill. So we've got our second edition now that came out in May. So we really would like to get your feedback on this resource. We're going to be running a Good Education Group's going to be running their own workshop today. So we're going to be going through some of our resources and in particular the Good Careers Guide to make sure that that product remains relevant and continues to be used. So really looking forward to your feedback on that today. A little bit about the Australian Careers Service. It's a free career service for Australian career practitioners, regardless of the sector that you work in. The way that we sort of, differentiate ourselves from that of other career associations is we see ourselves more as an information provider, an information hub. So we have a wealth of content and data that we use for all our resources, and we take that information and feed that through our ACS channels so that you can benefit from all of that we collate. We also work with a lot of third parties. We work with a lot of different other sort of resource providers, and we also do a lot of research and data analysis as well. So we're constantly feeding that information through so that you guys are much more informed about what's happening in different sectors. So it's free to join. There's a lot of benefits that come with being an ACS member. You get discounts on all our products. We run different specials throughout the year. We seek out third-party resources as well that we make available to you. You get early bird registration to a lot of our events, in particular the ACS seminars. A lot of the cities do sell out, so that's a good little bonus. And we also run a lot of webinars and focus groups and forums throughout the year as well, which are really important to get involved in. The Good Careers Guide is a prime example of a product that came from a lot of consultation and a lot of focus groups with career advisors to make sure that product carrying on was very valuable. So it's really good to get involved in some of those events that we run. There's also a lot of different ways to access our information. We have an ACS newsletter, an ACS website. We run a lot of social channels as well. So another way to get access to sort of those career tools and career information. So one page that I do recommend keeping an eye on is our new resource page on the ACS website, where everything that we're discussing here today, as well as any new resources that we create or any resources that we partner up with another organisation. Prime example is Australian Science Channel's Ultimate Careers magazine. Those sort of resources we'll be working with and hosting on this site. So a nice little sort of one-stop shop for you guys to access these career tools. So it's free to join. If you aren't already a member, do come and see us either during the workshop or the breaks, and we can sign you up on the spot. Or you can visit the ACS website, and there's also a link to our event app as well. So for those that have attended some events in the past, you'll notice there's a little bit of a change to what we've done, and a lot of this has come from past attendee feedback and membership feedback, so that we are improving these events year on year. One thing that we've added is an ACS Event App. You would have received a link in an email leading up to the event to download that app. And that app has a lot of information about our presenters, has links out to all their profiles, additional content, and you can also connect with one another using your LinkedIn account as well. We're going to be running social media throughout the day, as well as throughout all our events. So a really good way to tap into some of the other workshops and presenters that are happening in the other events across the next month. We've updated our our website, and have profiles for our workshops and presenters on there. So again, some of our other workshop presenters and keynote guest speakers in other cities, we've been filming all those presentations, recording workshops, and sharing all the slideshow presentations. So we had Sally-Ann from Google, we've had KPMG, we've also had SpaceCube in Perth, so some really great organisations to hear about what's happening in the sector. So I'd encourage visiting the ACS website and watching those videos, and also sharing those slideshows with those that you advise, because there's some really good sort of facts and figures on there. And also there will be a link to a survey as well to get your feedback on that as well. So just a little bit of information about how today is running. You've already been allocated into groups, and this will be the groups that you'll stay in for the day. And then from there, every 20 minutes, you'll rotate to the next group, which means that you get to see everybody today. We'll come around and give you a 5-minute warning so that you can sort of wrap up conversations and nothing sort of cut short. And then you'll move onto the table, and we've set it up nicely so you can just sort of go around in a little circle. We'll also have some breaks, which will allow you to sort of take some time out, but also catch up with one another as well. So we'll have morning tea and lunch. And then we're also going to be running a prize draw at the end of the day. So my colleagues are going to come around in the last workshop and collect all your name tags. And we're going to use the name tags to draw a prize draw, just to finish on a positive note. Post-event, we're going to send an email out with a link to a survey to get your feedback on the day. It's really important that we get your feedback to make sure that we are continually improving these events. And as I said, a lot of the changes that came from today have come from past attendee feedback. There's also a section there to get your requests and recommendations for other guest presenters in workshops as well. So if there's sort of an industry representative that you'd like to hear from, maybe an employer, or sort of a representative of a new sort of growing sector, do let us know, and we can sort of start to develop those partnerships and get them to come and present next year. We will be emailing post-event all the professional development certificates. We'll email that to the email that you've used to register for today. So if you do want to receive that in a different email, do just come and see us during the break and we can update your account. And then also, as I mentioned, all workshops and presentations across all events will be filmed or recorded and posted up on the relevant profile pages on the ACS website. So do keep checking back into that website so that you can access not only the workshops and presentations that you hear today, but also those that are located in all the other events. So does anyone have any questions before we carry on? No? Easy. So as I said, Good Education Group's going to be running a workshop today, so you can come and ask us about what we're doing and get some feedback on the resources. Otherwise, come and see us during the break for a chat as well. So I'd now like to welcome our first guest speaker for today, Hilary from Australian Science Channel. So Hilary is an education specialist and a contributing editor for the Australian Science Channel. You'll also notice you'll have an Ultimate Careers magazine in your show bag, which is one of the resources that they produce. Hilary today is going to be talking about some of the career opportunities in STEM and how to get students and job seekers really excited about those sort of career opportunities. So please now welcome Hilary. Thank you. Okay.
Just working out how I don't break the little debris here. Okay. Hi everybody, my name's Hilary Jones. Thank you for the welcome, Kayla. As I said, I'm the education specialist here at Australia Science Channel. Here at Australia Science Channel, we'd like to welcome you to Australia's first free and open publishing platform for science stories. So, sorry, something's happening. We work with leading minds, universities from around Australia, organisations and institutions to connect and build communities engaged with and entertained by science on a daily basis. We are committed and passionate about inspiring the next generation of innovators to build a strong Australia. So science and all STEM areas are our passion here, and as part of the education department, we're really keen on promoting primarily STEM careers to students. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about the future of careers, because I keep seeing in the media everywhere how robots are going to take all of our jobs. But you don't need to panic, because I'm here to tell you they're certainly not going to. You might have recognised this photo from the last couple of weeks. This is Nightscope K5. He was a robot in Washington, D.C. If you aren't aware of the story, his job was to security patrol an office building over in Washington. Unfortunately, he fell into a pond and couldn't get out. So not a great job there, and relied on the humans to rescue him. He's not taking their job full-time anytime soon. We also have, I've heard a lot in the press about McDonald's automated booths. Now, I don't know if you're aware, but here in Australia, McDonald's actually, worldwide, McDonald's have been seeing a downturn in their business. So they've been trying lots of new ideas on how to get their business back up in Australia. And one thing that they tried was automated booths. This started a massive outcry with people saying, oh, there'll be no jobs for cashiers anymore, people are losing entry-level jobs. But if we think about it, actually these booths are creating lots more jobs. Instead of just someone standing on a checkout at McDonald's, you've got someone who needs to design the booth. You've got someone who needs to design the software. You need someone then to manufacture the parts for the booth, to assemble the booth, to then ship it to the store. Once it's at the store, you need someone to install it. And then once it's been installed, if it breaks, you need someone to maintain it. And you still need an entry-level job in the McDonald's, because no one wants to order food from a sticky, food-encrusted finger screen. So someone needs to clean it on a really regular basis. There's also, if you've heard about Sprinkles Cupcakes in America, and this is a company who used to, or they still do, sell cupcakes, and they decided that they'd far rather be spending time inventing new flavours of cupcakes and baking and doing the decorating and the fun bits than standing at a till serving cupcakes to people. So they invented the world's first cupcake ATM. They started with a couple, they then grew to 9 ATMs. At that point, they were generating a revenue of around $9 million a year through their ATMs, and they've now grown to 15 ATMs across America currently. So that, like I said, that saves them a lot of time in serving the cupcakes. They can do a lot more of the fun things that they want to be doing, baking, creating new flavours, and other high-level skill jobs. And also bank tellers. When ATMs came in, especially in America, again, there was an outcry saying bank tellers are going to lose their jobs. We're not going to have people working in banks anymore. ATMs actually heralded the rise of the bank teller from from the year 2000. There's actually been a 2% rise in the amount of bank tellers in America, and it's directly linked to ATMs being used. ATMs means that initially there's less bank tellers in a specific branch. That lowers a bank's operating costs. That means they can open another branch and therefore employ more bank tellers. So overall, we saw this 2% increase in bank teller jobs year on year since the year 2000. There we go. So here we have a little graphic to show the change in share of jobs from 1980 to 2012. We can see the green dots, mainly at the top of the screen. These are jobs that grew in job share. The pink dots down the bottom of the screen are jobs that fell, and the grey dots, which are a little bit harder to see but scattered throughout, are jobs that stayed about the same in terms of job growth. So we can see on this graph that it's plotted social skills from bottom to top and math skills going across the screen. So we can see the jobs that grew are all in the jobs that require the highest social skills. The jobs that fell are those that had lower social skills. Jobs that stayed the same, however, are kind of random throughout. So this graph tells us a couple of things. Firstly, human skills are really important. But secondly, sometimes it is a bit random which jobs grow, which jobs fall, which jobs stay the same. And because we don't have crystal balls, we can make educated guesses about things, but sometimes it's best just to see what happens. So why aren't we going to be using robots for everything? Why aren't they going to take over from us? Well, for a start, opposable thumbs. Getting out of a pond's really hard when you don't have really good working arms. But creativity, that's something we really need to be promoting in our students and our clients. Empathy, non-logical thinking. These are all the things that robots can't do. Whilst we are making great advances with AI, there's discussions constantly about will we ever be able to program robots to think like a human? And it generally comes back to the answer of no. Humanity is a quality that we can't program, we can't define, because humans are weird and odd, and we do odd things. And you can't program that logically. Hence, the non-logical thinking is a really important human quality that we actually need to embrace. So I'm going to give you a bit of a history lesson now. Now, I'm not a history teacher, but I do like history. And I think it's really important to look back so that we can look forward. Change in jobs is nothing new. People saying all the jobs are going to die out is nothing new. It's happened for hundreds and hundreds of years. Back in the Industrial Revolution, when we had the Industrial Age, printing jobs changed. The invention of the steam printing press meant people said there'll be no jobs left. This is actually not the case. For example, in 1814, the London Times introduced steam presses. Instead of making all of the printmakers unemployed, it actually increased employment at the London Times several times over. This is for lots of reasons, but mainly because they could print more copies and therefore sell more copies, so they got more advertising revenue because more people were seeing the papers, and because they got more advertising revenue, they could afford to employ more printers so that they could print more advertising revenue, and it went round and round and round. In the farming world, they went from hand tilling, hand ploughing, and hand sowing of seed, which was very wasteful, to new methods. For example, the seed drill, which was a horse-drawn method of planting seed in the ground. This meant yields exploded, and there were way more harvest to be done than the current population of workers could cope with, so there were more jobs in harvesting. And in transport moved from horse-drawn carriages, horse-drawn canal boats to move goods around, to steam-powered. This meant infrastructure needed to be improved for the steam engines, and an entire railway network needed to be built for the railways. If we move to today, and we've moved into the information age, or the computer age, or the digital age, we haven't quite decided exactly what we're calling our current age, but it's one of those, we think. Again, printing has moved from the physical to digital. More and more we see media moving online. There is still, however, obviously a very large place for print media. In fact, Kindle has admitted that sales have gone down in recent years as people turn back to print books. And whilst advertising revenues are down in print media, they're still there. We still see magazines on the newsstand and people still enjoy them. Print moving mainly into digital, though, I don't think we have to worry too much about this because we're very blessed, especially in countries like Australia or their education system, that do impart in our students basic skills to cope with digital medias and so on and so forth. So that technology, it never changes directly overnight. We don't wake up one day and all the magazines have gone and everything's in digital all of a sudden. It does move at a certain speed, so we can react to that, and those basic underpinning skills being taught in the education system give students that broad background for that. When we come to farming, we've moved from different methods to precision farming and biotech. So there are still jobs in farming and the agricultural industry, but there's far more jobs off the land. However, again, talking about those human skills of empathy, there's nothing quite like a farmer's gut feeling if his pigs are feeling a bit off or not. So robots will never completely replace humans in that field as well. And then transport. We went from steam to clean, from slow to supersonic. So, okay, we don't really have steam train drivers anymore, but we have pilots piloting aeroplanes flying across the sky. Yes, they're different skill sets, different jobs, but again, we didn't wake up one morning and all of a sudden there were planes flying across the sky from left to right. It happened slowly in increments. So people learnt the skills of how to fly planes over a period of time. And again, we can react to that. So, work in the future. Sorry. So it's said over our lifetime now, again and again you hear, in our day there were jobs for life, but people nowadays, there's no jobs for life. Well, for quite a long time now, there's not really been jobs for life. It's said that the average person now will have 10 jobs over their career life. For someone entering the job market at the moment, that's predicted to be 12 to 15 jobs per life. Now, if you think over a 40-year career span, that's not that much of an increase of jobs per career life, really. An economy can play a massive part in this. For example, in Japan. Now, Japan is defined by a recession and deflation for the last few decades. The current feeling in Japan, if you ask young people working there, and there's been many surveys and research done into this, is that they really do want a job for life, and employers are keen to give their people jobs for lives over there. So I think economy being a big input there into social wants and needs when it comes to careers and career length. So, and that obviously can change at any time. So a big key thing, what should we be thinking about really? Well, we should be thinking about doing what you love, thinking about those human skills, thinking about having enjoyable jobs. More and more in life, we enjoy life. We're told life is short. We should grab every moment and do the things that we love to do. Why shouldn't that extend to a job as well? No one wants to wake up in the morning and dread going to work. So really key is finding something you love and try and make a career out of it. Now, I don't subscribe to the quote of find a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life, because there's always little things in jobs that we don't like, people you have to deal with that aren't great, or getting up early in the morning. There's always things you have to do that aren't all fun and games. But if you can find a career area that you really enjoy and love, that turns your job into something you really do look forward to doing rather than a complete drudge every single day. We play very hard in this country, and I think we should work just as hard on finding our jobs enjoyable. This video really does show, I think, that finding a key area that you really want to work in and your passion can give you a really good career that you really love, and that it doesn't matter really what you want to do. If you find an area you want to work in, you can find a career in that area. Play the video, please.
So the best bit about my job is being in the space station control room and being able to see from the external cameras the Earth from space every single day, and I get to watch 16 sunrises and sunsets every single day, and they look incredible. My day job is, instead of being a specialist in just a few science payloads, I've got a good broad technical overview of all of the payloads, and connected to the flight director and the specialists of each of those, and then I'm the voice that you hear talk back up to space when the astronauts call Earth. Every day is very different. We have a different combination of astronauts every 3 months. We have a full crew is 6, but we have a different combination of 6 astronauts every 3 months. We're constantly running a couple of hundred different science experiments on the space station all the time. The combination of those changes every 6 months. So you're always having new challenges and looking at new science and engineering at work, and yeah, it's constantly evolving. So it's amazing, actually. It's better from the inside. I thought it was good from the outside, but mission control is actually even better from the inside for the International Space Station. I've had a love of space since I was very young, growing up around country Australia and looking up at the stars and getting the most epic view of the Milky Way and the Southern Cross and the 2 galaxies that you can see from the Southern Hemisphere. And I was fascinated with that, and then when I was about 10, Star Trek Voyager came out, and I remember watching Chief Engineer B'Elanna Torres just make everything electrical and mechanical work in space as a day job, and I was like, I'm going to do that, and I learnt the word engineer, and as I went along, I met real-life space scientists and engineers, and realised that science fiction could be reality if I studied one of those things as well. So for me, it was a big amount of looking at Star Trek and sci-fi and then turning that into a career, which you absolutely can do. It's not just science fiction. I graduated from the University of Adelaide, and I was aiming to go to the European Space Agency to do mission control for the space station. That was always my big goal. And I went over there during university to see if I could go straight from uni. Turned out I couldn't. I needed a few years of experience first, and I did a work experience with a great company in Adelaide. So I took up a position in control systems engineering, did automation for lots of different sites and industries all around Australia, and very quickly was permanently posted as a mining control systems engineer. So I was FIFO mining for quite a while. Loved that, liked it so much I almost didn't leave, but I wanted to follow the big dream. So when I got to the right amount of experience, I took a shot, quit my job, bought a one-way ticket, had applied for flight control positions earlier, and sat those interviews, and not luckily, with a lot of preparation and beforehand, I was able to put together about 10 years of volunteering in space activities, together with enough years of professional engineering experience, almost 5, and then put that together to apply for flight control of the ISS, and I've been working there ever since. So my top 3 tips to get a career like mine would be to find something that you're passionate about. So you can do any sort of science or engineering, and that's a really broad range of things. So you don't need to restrict yourself to one type. Find any of them that you're really interested in and go for that one, because you can absolutely turn that into a career in space. And it doesn't even have to be science or engineering. You could be a flight surgeon for the astronauts and study medicine, or you could be a fitness specialist and do the exercise for the astronauts in space, or you could even be a lawyer and do space law. So there's a lot of different pathways to get into space. And I would say do things outside of school. Everyone's going to have school and uni. So what else do you have? Do sports so that you can prove that you're a team player. Do extracurricular things like travelling and languages and that sort of thing, and be involved in networks outside of school. And networks would then be my third thing, is to engage with other people, engage with your peers, engage with people that are doing what you'd like to do in the future, and attend lots of events like that. And network to your heart's content. Don't be afraid to go up to somebody at an event and chat to them and say, hey, I want to be you in the future. It's definitely a case of who you know as well as what you know, and use your networks and be polite and respectful to everybody, and they'll probably turn into your colleagues in the future.
I think Andrea puts it perfectly. Do what you're passionate about. Find a passion, something that you really want to work in, an area you want to work in. So exploring options is really important. I truly believe that an absolute key to finding a job and a career that you love is to put lots and lots of examples in front of people. If you don't know about it, how are you going to know that you do or don't want to do a certain job? We generally do what we know, what our friends do, what our families do, what we see around us in our immediate area. But if we don't, like I say, if we don't know about a job, we're not going to want to know to do it. So putting lots and lots of examples in front of students and clients, I think, is key. So have they heard of a water slide tester or a snake milker, a personal trainer for astronauts, a pet nutritionist, a medical illustrator? These are all real jobs, really. The water slide tester is as well, I promise you. So just having lots of examples that students and clients can look at and get inspired by in short bite-sized pieces is really important. If we put things in front of students and clients, then they'll find something they do want to do. Don't panic. The future is going to happen no matter what we do. There will be all levels of jobs with all different skills needed always. The graph from earlier shows that it's kind of random, really, what jobs are going to grow, what jobs are going to fall, and what jobs are going to stay the same. There are so many different factors involved in jobs growing and ebbing and flowing or staying the same, and it's really hard to pick out this thing or that thing that means this job's going to grow or that job's going to grow. And just because a job's going to need heaps more people in it, you don't want to shoehorn a student or a client into doing that role if they don't want to do it. We have lots of different ways of putting lots of different jobs in front of students. Here at Australia Science Channel, on our Ultimate Careers channel, we focus on lots of content like Andrea Boyd's video, just showcasing lots and lots of different careers. And like I say, things that students possibly have never heard of or thought of before, and putting those examples in front of them, I truly believe is the key to getting a job that they really want to do and are happy to go to work every day doing. Thank you. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Okay, yes.
I do. Sorry, I'll just, I've got the microphone.
Sorry, you jumped straight in.
I'm a careers counsellor working in an all-boys school.
Okay.
And my question is not just for my students that I'm working with currently, but also my own daughter who's in year 12, loves chemistry, loves biology, does not like maths. In fact, has decided not to do maths in year 12. Every once in a while I'll get a student who really loves the sciences but not so much the maths. So I was just wondering, have you come across any particular career pathways where students may excel in the sciences but aren't so keen on the maths?
Oh, that's a tricky one off the top of my head.
See, that was a good question, wasn't
It's
it?
a very good question. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm going to kind of sidestep that a little bit because off the top of my head, to be quite honest, I'll be totally honest with you. I'm a little bit ill at the moment and I'm a little bit fuzzy-headed. So thinking of an answer to exactly that, if I can think about it a bit longer, I'll try and come back to you with a specific answer. However...
Now, I guess that's for everyone else here too over the break. If anyone has any great ideas, let me know.
What I can say, though, is I think a lot of the time we concentrate very much on specific pathways to jobs. You go to school, you do year 11 and 12, you go to university, you might go and do a master's, especially in STEM field, a lot of the time people go on and do a PhD. And they feel that's the only path there is, that's the only way they can get into a particular career. We have heaps and heaps of anecdotal examples that I know of and that we show through Australia Science Channel of people doing things a different way through different paths. So perhaps they didn't take the right subjects at school, perhaps they didn't even go to school, and still they've ended up in a career that's in one way or another sciencey related, and yet they didn't have maths in year 12. So there are ways they can get into careers, even if they haven't taken the right subjects always. We don't see that as a barrier to any particular job. You just have to get creative sometimes about how you then sneak into it. Okay, and I'll have a think about specific titles for you today. Okay.
Anyone got any other questions?
If you do think of any, obviously you can ask me on the table as you come round, and I'll be floating around all day as well in breaks as well, so please feel free to come and have a chat at any time. Thank you very much, everyone.
So thank you very much to Hilary. Australian Science Channel have just, relaunched their website. So I do really recommend going and visiting that website. It's got some really great content on there. Again, as I mentioned, you've got an Australian's Ultimate Careers Guide in your show bag. And you can also access their content to be able to share to your students and clients. We're lucky enough to have the Australian Science Channel running a workshop today, so you can sort of bombard Hilary with all her questions, but maybe be kind if she's a little bit unwell. So now we're going to be starting with our first workshop. So you'll start in the table that you're sitting at right now. We'll come around and give you a little 5-minute warning so that you can move on to the next one, and then we'll have some nice warning teas. So I hope you enjoy the day, and I'll be speaking to you shortly. Thanks, guys.